Hey, what's up? It's me, Lex, back at you with another Pathfinder video. Today we're back to the class overviews, and today I'm going to be covering the Alchemist. I have a lot of notes for the Alchemist here, but first I'm going to break it down into these three characters: Distinguish, the Bomber Alchemist; Tide, the Mutagenist; and Bondage, the Chirurgeon. In each Alchemist, I'm going to cover an aspect of certain playstyles that you can encompass with the Alchemist, and specifically what types of items those playstyles are going to take advantage of and entail, and what they're going to be providing for their team. Alchemist is a very item-focused class, and ultimately your success with it is going to live or die by your understanding of those items. For that reason, I recommend while you're first learning Alchemist or getting into it, to either through Path Builder, Archives of Nethys, or in Foundry, sort items such that you are only looking at the common alchemical items. The alchemical item list is massive, and there's a whole lot of variety in different things that you can do. So tightening it, even if you are allowed uncommon options in your campaign, to just common options, and then possibly opening it up down the line once you're a little less overwhelmed with this massive list of items. As you can see here, even at level 1, there is a whole lot of them. Can make the process of learning much, much easier. Now, for the core chassis of the Alchemist is a decently resilient class, with some slower scaling weapon proficiency, but they do have medium armor, which means that they can build into either strength or dexterity, whatever you would prefer for your character concept, though their ability to use alchemical bombs means that quite a few of them are going to be using dexterity. Every alchemist has versatile vials, an amount equal to 2 plus their intelligence modifier. These vials recharge. Every 10 minutes you get 2 of them back, and that'll increase at higher levels to 3 per 10 minutes. And at any point you can use a versatile vial for the quick alchemy action to create a consumable alchemical item of your level or lower that you have the formula for in your formula book. That makes the item, it's infused and remains potent until the end of your turn, and you can use it. This is where a lot of your versatility is going to come from, is because as long as you know the formula, you can make the item with just an action for free. And you can usually do this several times a combat. For instance here, Distinguish at level 2 has an intelligence score of +4, and so would be able to have up to 6 versatile vials at once, to create 6 consumables per combat. Quick alchemy can also be used to make a quick vial. This is just a bomb that you can throw. It won't have any special effects like consumables will, and unless you are a bomber, it will always deal acid damage. So it's not super versatile, but it is a consistent fallback option, and especially because it can still deal splash damage. Alchemists also have advanced alchemy. During their daily preparations, they create some additional alchemical items, 4 plus your intelligence modifier, and these will last for the whole day and have their normal durations, because notably, the quick alchemy action, when you create a consumable with it, if its effects would last longer than 10 minutes, they only last 10 minutes instead. This is to prevent an alchemist from, say, being able to create a dark vision elixir with a duration of an hour, and then recharge that versatile vial to re-up that buff over and over for free. And so the advanced alchemy, at your daily preparations, you'll be preparing things that you want over the course of your day, long duration items, things that you would want for backup, etc. Alchemy and your research field will give you some formulas to start out with, and you also gain the alchemical crafting feats. Not relevant in every campaign. Sometimes, in fact, oftentimes, you will be able to purchase whatever items you need, but in a campaign where perhaps you don't always have access to items, say in Abomination Vaults, where Otari is only a 4th level town, if you wanted to purchase a 5th level item, you'd have to go all the way up to Maravon or east to Absalom. With alchemical crafting, you can craft all of the items that you have in your formula book with just a day of time by expending their normal gold cost to make a full bundle of 4 of them. So it can be very good in campaigns and circumstances where appropriate. Other than that, though, that is just the core chassis of the Alchemist, and we'll get into the specific build here. Distinguish is a bomber alchemist, which gives some unique benefits. As I mentioned before, some formulas are added to your book. These have to be bombs. Your field benefit is a benefit that you will have just passively, and it is meant to reflect kind of your expertise. For Bomber, this means when you throw an alchemical bomb with the splash trait, you can choose to deal splash damage to only your primary target instead of the usual splash area. This is helpful in several situations. If your allies are crowded around an enemy, then you won't be damaging them. And even normally, because a failure on an attack with a splash weapon deals damage in the area of that creature only, if a swarm was on top of your allies and you threw a bomb and failed, it still would only deal splash damage to the swarm and not your allies. Very helpful. It allows you to prevent your allies from getting injured. And then your field vial benefits on all alchemists as well, depending on your research field, is a benefit that you can uniquely take advantage of with your versatile vials and quick vials. And specifically quick vials is going to be how you use most of these. In this case, as a bomber, when you strike with a versatile vial, you can choose to have it deal cold, electricity, or fire damage instead of acid. So you have access to several different damage types. And this is where I want to get into one of the main strengths of the Alchemist. If you can find a weakness that an enemy has, the combination of your utility in ability to access all of the different damage types very, very easily by just adding formulae to your book, combined with the fact that some of your abilities allow you to deal persistent damage, combined with the fact that splash damage means your strikes can still be dealing that damage even when you miss, means that you are very, very potent against enemies with elemental weaknesses of some sort. And so I've built Distinguish to emphasize that strength and point out one path that a player could take while creating an alchemist. If you train in Arcana, Nature, Occultism, Religion, and Society, and Crafting as well, but Alchemists all come with that, then you should be able to recall knowledge on basically everything you come across. And recall knowledge can then get you the weaknesses of creatures, which can then cause you to become an immensely potent damage dealer on the battlefield. As for the feats, Distinguish here has incredible initiative. The ability to go first can be important when you're recalling knowledge, because then the information you gain can also be shared with your team before they take any actions. Natural ambition to grab the alchemical familiar feats, which I will get into in just a moment. And I would like to touch on Quick Bomber here. It's an immensely potent feat in the Pathfinder 2nd edition remaster. As a single action, you can either interact to draw a bomb, so say from your advanced alchemy in the morning, if you had some backup bombs or just bombs that you had purchased or crafted to supplement your resources, you could use that. Draw a versatile vial. This is something I'm not really sure why it's here, because this next one, use quick alchemy to create a bomb. Your quick vials are also bombs, so you can simply create a versatile vial with this action. And then you strike with the bomb that you have placed into your hand with this action. So as a single action, you're able to use your offensive capabilities. I highly recommend, if you intend to play an alchemist, even if you're picking up the Alchemist dedication, that you take this feat. If it doesn't fit your style of character, then that's fine. You can forgo it. But Quick Bomber is an immensely potent feat, because being a single action away at all times from a ranged attack that does elemental damage and splash damage, and potentially even some kind of effect if you use quick alchemy to create a special bomb, is very, very powerful. And it means that if you ever have an action spare, even if you're a supportive, focused alchemist, you can get a little bit of damage and help out your team. Anyway, at second level, I want to try and take advantage of filling in the reaction slot, and I wanted to show off that you can still take legacy feats as long as they have not been reprinted with the same name. So I took Demolition Charge here. It's also just a very fun feat. This allows you to rig anywhere from 1 to 4 bombs to an inanimate object as a 1-minute activity. This creates a hazard in a square occupied by or adjacent to the inanimate object, so in a door or next to the door. And the stealth DC and thievery DC for the trap are equal to your class DC, so it'll be decent. Not amazing, but that's not particularly important because this isn't for offense mainly. The hazard has the following reaction, which you can also trigger as a single action if you're within 30 feet of it, and it retains its potency until it's triggered, until the inanimate object moves from its space, or your next daily preparations. And the reaction is Fire in the Hole. When a creature moves into the hazard space, it explodes, dealing the bomb's damage and splash damage to the inanimate object. And then the splash damage is also dealt to any creatures adjacent to the hazard. So, as you could probably note from the fact that the splash damage is all that's dealt to adjacent creatures, it can still do some very decent damage, don't get me wrong. Calculated splash and similar effects won't apply, so this will just be the base splash damage. Its main benefit here is that you can stack up to 4 bombs in a single explosion, and the damage that they deal ignore an amount of the object's hardness equal to your level. This is an immensely capable ability for blowing holes into and through walls, causing ceilings to collapse, etc. It's a very fun feat. I would recommend taking a look at it if it fits your campaign. And then recognize spell as well to try to actually fill that reaction slot. This is very useful when you are already trained in all of the magic skills, because you can automatically recognize first and second rank spells just from being trained, and as those proficiencies increase, you'll automatically recognize higher rank spells. You don't automatically recognize spells normally. A lot of tables I see don't use this rule, which is fair enough. It is kind of difficult at the table to be like, oh, the wizard is casting a spell. It looks like he draws a thin green line between 2 of his fingers, and then everyone gets a chance to react. And then if no one does, you say the dart flies out and hits someone and they take acid damage. It's a lot easier to, instead of that, say, oh, he's casting acid arrow. Anyways, back up to the alchemical familiar. I want to touch on to this. This is a feat that the alchemist has access to. I do not believe that they have access to any further familiar feats. No, they do not. So they will be stuck with these 2 familiar abilities unless you then take the familiar master dedication. But familiars are quite potent tools for a lot of purposes. You can have them scout ahead, you can have them ride on you and help you out. In this case, that's what I wanted to demonstrate here. This familiar has taken the skilled familiar ability, which trains them in a skill of your choice, and the second opinion familiar ability, which gives them a free reaction which they can use to aid you every turn. And they automatically succeed. So the familiar can be providing you a constant bonus to your Arcana checks, for example. And as normal with familiars, you can select their familiar abilities differently if you would prefer. As for what I would focus on with a bomber, you want to be sure that you have a large variety of different damage types in your repertoire. Your field vial benefit is very helpful with this, so that even if you don't have access to your versatile vial resources, your quick vials can still be triggering those damage types. But notably, a lot of the better bombs will also be carrying some additional effects, like Bottled Lightning's ability to off-guard a creature when you hit it is very, very potent. Acid Flask's continual damage. If we get into more specifically debuffing type things, there's a Dread Ampule to frighten creatures, or a Skunk Bomb, which has an entire rider effect where a creature will make a save against becoming sickened or slowed. And then finally, with bombs, you want to look into the Quicksilver Mutagens. Don't entirely ignore mutagens when you are a bomber, because they can greatly assist in your ability to hit your targets. And here with the Quicksilver Mutagen, you gain a +1 bonus to dexterity-based attack rolls at level 1, which means that your dexterity will essentially be +4. It gives you a bonus to all of those dexterity rolls, which makes up for the fact that you don't already have that compared to, say, a gunslinger. Moving on to Tide at level 5, our second alchemist here. This is our mutagenist. Mutagenist starts off with some mutagen formulae. The field benefit is that when you use a mutagen, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier plus half your level, that last for a minute or until the mutagen's duration expires. And you can't gain temporary HP from it again in that way for a minute. So this is essentially, whenever you drink a mutagen, you're getting some temporary HP. It's a lot like Rage in that way, where Rage is giving some temporary HP to cushion your hit point pool at the start of a battle, and Mutagenist can also push into the fray in this manner. Your field vials benefit as well. You can drink the contents of a versatile vial to suppress the drawback from one mutagen currently affecting you until the beginning of your next turn. A vial used this way loses a bunch of traits, and if you have more than one drawback, so for example with Combine Elixirs, if you mix 2 mutagens together to make it a single one and drink it, it'll have multiple drawbacks, and it'll only suppress a single drawback. This is a very action expensive ability. I have not seen a lot of use out of it, but Mutagenist is very capable and even encouraged to, with its abilities, get onto the front line. Oh, I almost forgot. The Field Discovery at 5th level improves your field benefit in some way. In this case, when you roll a Fortitude save while affected by a mutagen and dislike the result, you can end the mutagen to re-roll the save as a fortune effect. So you'll be very sturdy regardless of what your Fortitude save is. Mutagenist is encouraged and supported in being able to move into the front lines and take advantage of things like weapon attacks or unarmed attacks. In this case, I have a Dromar with Orc Ferocity, so that the Tide has a reaction and can be a little sturdier on the front line. Alchemical Familiar, because Out of the options available at first level, Alchemical Familiar can get you some interesting abilities. In this case, things like an Alchemical Gut to give you some additional effects on your alchemical items, or similar things. I believe there's one that, yes, Extra Vial, to give you more versatile vials, things that stretch your resources in this case, or a familiar could help with your action economy by having independent and manual dexterity and moving items around for you. Moving down, at level 2, Revivifying Mutagen allows you to end the effects of a mutagen you are currently under the effect of and regain some hit points. It just allows you to stretch your hit points further when you're on the front line. You've already been battle medicined, the cleric's out of healing. You can stretch a little bit further. Battle medicine to be able to sustain yourself further on the front line, and particularly because Tide will be unarmed most of the time. Armor proficiency to be able to wear half plate for a particularly high armor class, because your speed can be supplemented with some equipment, and I'll get into that in a moment. And by equipment, I mean alchemical items. At level 4, Regurgitate Mutagen, again, allows you to end the effect of a mutagen you're currently under the effects of, and it deals some acid damage as a ranged attack. And can even sicken as well. It's always good to have the ability to end mutagens you're currently under the effect of, and a mutagenist shouldn't shy away at all from drinking one, using it for something, drinking another, adapting to the situation, or just using them as a resource. Intimidating Glare to maintain some scariness on the front lines here. Tide we have as kind of a little bit charismatic, a little bit stealthy. And then at level 5, another good way to fill out the reactions with Victorious Vigor. Whenever you bring a foe to 0 hit points, gain temporary hit points equal to your Constitution modifier until the end of your next turn. And that'll be 4 here because Tide is focused on Strength and Constitution and is actually foregoing some int score to be better suited to the front lines. We also have at level 5 the Powerful Alchemy ability. This is something all alchemists get. Whenever you create an infused alchemical item with a saving throw, you can make its DC your class DC. So you're able to use items no matter what level they're at. As for the mutagenist and what kinds of things can support them, you can either go weapon oriented or unarmed oriented, and I will show off a little bit of both. You can opt into some medium armor, but I recommend going for heavy armor if possible because you can supplement it with some effects. Right here, the Cheetah's Elixir from level 1 is an elixir you can drink to gain a speed bonus for a minute. And because this isn't a mutagen, you'll be able to take this alongside something else. If you want to go the weapon route, things like the energy mutagen can be very potent. These cause you to deal additional energy damage and become resistant to energy damage types. When you create the item, you choose what type out of acid, cold, electricity, or fire. This can be very versatile. It can further bolster your tankiness on the front lines. But there's also the good old Bestial Mutagen. This gives you bonuses to athletics checks, unarmed attack rolls, and some automatically scaling unarmed attacks so that you will not have to purchase hand wraps for your unarmed attacks to increase their damage or their attack modifier, which can be a huge save on gold in the early or even late game. Although you will miss out on potency runes if you decide to go that route. It's also a good idea when playing a mutagenist or engaging in melee combat to supplement yourself with Some other elixirs, for example, we have the Comprehension Elixir here. This can bolster your utility by allowing you to understand words you read. Or things like the Numbing Tonic, giving you temporary hit points at the start of each of your turns for a minute. This particularly at high levels when the amount of temporary hit points is immense. Like at level 5, it is very good. 5 temporary hit points at the start of every turn. If you get hit twice across 2 turns, that's 10 healing at a time when you only have 70 health. It's very effective and it only gets better. You have a lot of tools at your disposal, things like Mistform Elixir as well, that makes you concealed, that can really amp up your survivability on the front line. You probably will not be dealing an immense amount of damage, though you can certainly attempt to, either through getting critical hits with your bestial mutagen, or supplementing with potency runes, or some kind of multi-class archetype. But ultimately, what you really are going to be as an alchemist is a tank. Things are going to struggle to hit you and struggle to kill you if you're opting into the full melee route and supporting yourself appropriately. And moving over to, before we move over to Bondage, I actually wanted to mention as well, I wanted to toss in a mention for alchemical poisons. These effectively fill the same role that having things like an energy mutagen have, where these kind of benefit your strikes and allow you to debuff the opponent at the same time with alchemical poisons. The reason I don't focus on them too much here is that even with the remaster change to Toxicologist, allowing you to bypass immunities to alchemical poisons, or just poisons in general, the core issue for me that a lot of people, when a lot of people struggle, what I interpret the issue to be with poisons is that they rely on generally fortitude saves, and the expected outcome for most saving throws in the game is going to be a success, in which case poisons do nothing. And so, despite how potent poisons and toxicologists can be, I don't recommend it for a first-time player, because it's going to feel a whole lot like your abilities are not having the impact that you want them to have. They're going to fail to materialize much of the time. Alrighty, we'll move on to Bondage at level 7, our Chirurgeon Alchemist. Chirurgeon gains alchemical elixir formulas with the healing trait. The field benefit is that you can use your proficiency rank in crafting for anything that requires a proficiency rank in medicine, like prerequisites, and use your crafting modifier in place of your medicine modifier for all medicine checks. So basically, medicine doesn't exist for you as a skill. You just use crafting. It's a very, very potent skill, and it means that you're able to then use your intelligence modifier rather than wisdom, which is what medicine, and even with natural medicine, nature uses. And then your field vial benefit is that you can use your versatile vials to heal a living creature a number of hit points equal to the vial's initial damage. A creature can drink the vial for the benefit, or you can throw the vial at a willing creature within 20 feet as an interact action to heal them. In either case, the vial used this way loses the acid and splash traits, gains coagulant and healing traits, and the elixir trait if a creature drinks it. Coagulant means that they can't consume another coagulant item for 10 more minutes. So it's basically a cooldown on this. But this allows you to, from level 1, be consistently supporting your team with healing, because you can do this with your quick vials, and the ability to use an action to throw it and automatically succeed healing them means that from level 1 you have this kind of range support option. You're not going to have the burst healing that a cleric will have from their heal spells, but you will have incredibly consistent healing across the course of a day through your field vials and even just your versatile vials and your ability to create items, which we'll get into. And at 5th level, Field Discovery causes your infused elixirs with the healing trait to also grant creatures temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier for a minute. So now when you're healing people, you are also providing them a little bit more of a buffer. It's essentially healing them even more. It's an overheal. If you've ever played Team Fortress 2, for example. Now, for the feats, I have Quick Bomber here because even though Bondage is going to be dedicated to supporting the team, having the ability to just use an action, toss out a versatile vial, do some acid damage is very, very potent. With Soothing Vials, when a living creature affected by a mental effect regains hit points from one of your versatile vials, it can immediately attempt a new will saving throw to end a mental effect of its choice, and it gains a item bonus to that saving throw. So if, say, one of your allies has been paralyzed in some way by not a poison, but maybe a stunning gaze, or they're currently confused by a gibbering mouther, or they're being dominated by a vampire, although that one would be up to GM adjudication on if one mental effect of its choice would be something that that character could opt into, given that they are controlled. Then they get to attempt a new saving throw. And you can do this at range because this is your versatile vial ability. And because of Quick Alchemy, just a reminder, you can use an action to create a quick vial and then another action to throw it 20 feet, healing someone and allowing them that new save. It's very, very potent. Soothing Vials is a great option. At 2nd level, we're just going to pick up the Medic Dedication because the Alchemist feats don't really fit the playstyle we're going for here. Improvise Admixture would probably be the second closest. This allows you to attempt a crafting check as an action to get more versatile vials on the spot once a day. Good in case of emergencies, but not great for what we have going on. Clotting Elixirs, when a living creature drinks an infused elixir with the healing trait you've created, they can attempt a flat check to remove persistent bleed damage. Also, just a little too niche for our circumstances here. 3rd level, we're going to pick up Ward Medic just to be able to bolster our team alongside the Battle Medicine at level 2. 4th level, we get Invigorating Elixir. This makes it so that in addition to normal effects, elixirs with the healing trait you create, if you add this additive, so this cannot go into your versatile vials, they can't have additives, but your normal vials, or your normal alchemical creations can apply additives. Once around, when you make something, you can put an additive into it and it adds on to its effects. In addition to the other effects of the healing elixir, it attempts to counteract an effect imposing one of the following conditions of the imbiber's choice: clumsy, enfeebled, sickened, or stupefied. And it uses half your level rounded up for the rank and your class DC minus 10 for the counteract modifier. And then they're immune to the additive for 10 minutes. It cannot counteract curses, diseases, or conditions that are part of the creature's normal state. This is very good for removing, say, poisons, or spell effects that aren't curses, that are imposing clumsy or enfeebled or sickened or stupefied. It's just bolstering your ability to remove conditions from your party while you're also healing them up. We're also going to take Trick Magic item here. As a more supportive-oriented character, this is a great pickup because then you can, in addition to carrying around some alchemical items, for backup, you can carry around scrolls if there are things that only spells are capable of doing. Level 5 will also be picking up Sense Allies. This is a human ancestry feat. It just makes it so that willing allies you're aware of within 60 feet that would otherwise be undetected are instead hidden. And the flat check for you to target willing allies within 60 feet that are hidden from you is only 5 instead of 11. It's a really great option for if you have stealth-oriented teammates that you're losing track of all the time, or just in the case of maybe an enemy blinds you because they see that you're the support, you'll still have a great time being able to tell where your allies are, targeting them with effects. At level 6, we're going to be picking up Efficient Alchemy. This makes it so that during your daily preparations, your advanced alchemy items, you can create 6 plus your intelligence modifier instead of 4 plus your intelligence modifier. And in addition, when you craft alchemical consumables during downtime, you can produce twice as many in a single batch without taking extra time, though it'll still take the normal amount of gold. So now you can make 8 items in a single day to bolster your supplies, even if you're between towns, even if you're in a town that's too low level for you, because you can always be producing these items at your maximum level. We'll also be picking up Assurance and Medicine. That's a great thing for when a check really matters and you don't have a hero point. And a fun one here at level 7, Bondage took Skilled Human at level 1 to bolster a religious dedication. We're picking up the Sanctify Water feat. This allows you to, as an action, choose a container of water with light bulk possessed by you or an ally within your reach, and until the end of your next turn it becomes holy water or unholy water depending on the alignment of your deity. It doesn't impart any monetary value or anything, but it allows you to create some holy water and throw it in the case of, say, there are some undead or fiends coming at your party. And I thought that this really fit the idea of the healer being able to quickly sanctify something and throw it out. As for moving into items for Bondage here, I want to focus on a couple of things. Elixir of Life kind of struggle at certain levels to recover hit point totals. As you can see here, by level 9, the problem is basically entirely gone. 5d6 plus 12 is really great. But if we go into the list here and look at the minor elixir of life, it is a single d6, which means that you will be healing 1 hit point eventually, if you roll low enough. And at level 5, 3d6 plus 6 is much better, but still not perfect. I wanted to emphasize that your healing capabilities are not going to be as consistent in the exact moments because you lack that burst where they're needed the most. A heal spell, rolling a d8 plus 8, is going to be healing quite a lot, whereas you might be healing 1 or 2 with your minor elixirs of life. But as you get higher, this will become less and less of an issue, and particularly with your field vial benefit, being able to heal someone an amount equivalent to the vial's initial damage means that you have multiple ways to access this healing. I also wanted to touch on things like Bottled Catharsis, Focus Cathartic, Surging Serum, Sinew Shock Serum. There are a lot of alchemical items like this that focus on condition removal and counteraction. Notable for these is that the counteract rules in Pathfinder don't have any kind of lockout. So combined with the ability for your versatile vials to recharge, if you pick up these formulae and someone runs into something, say someone fails a feeble mind, I believe that stupefies for an hour or a day, something like that. You can repeatedly feed them Focus Cathartics to attempt to counteract that stupefied condition until eventually you succeed and remove it from them. It might take a while, particularly because the DCs will not scale, so whenever you unlock a new tier of Surging Serum, will be when your ability to remove these things becomes better. There's nothing that scales this, but you can still continually roll and try over and over to remove it, and that's a very potent effect. I also want to touch on out of combat healing for a moment here with the Soothing Tonic. This is an item that provides fast healing for a minute, and it's scaling amounts. But this is an amazing tool for out of combat healing. You create and feed someone a Soothing Tonic, and then they will heal 30 hit points exactly every time out of combat. And that can be a very potent tool for restoring your party's hit points, because this is only at level 5, and there is a Soothing Tonic at level 2 that does fast healing 1. That's a guaranteed 10 hit points over the next 10 minutes, repeatable as all of these other things are. And then finally going into some other items that could provide support for your team, like a Spiderfoot brew, polymorphing, and providing people with climb speeds. Very effective. You are a portable and repeatable source of a lot of spell-like effects. You will be weaker than a spell caster at producing various types of effects, but the things that you are capable of doing, you're going to be able to do all the time. And because your quick alchemy can access any item you gain the formula for, this is the kind of gotcha of the video, is that while I've been focusing on specific types of items here to kind of make it easier to break down playstyles and focuses, things like, deal damage, inflict debuffs, become resilient, and stay on the front line and provide unique effects, heal your teammates, and make them resilient or support them by removing conditions. The true strength of Alchemist, and the thing that has always made it good, is that you have access to all of these at all times. Well, you will be better at certain things. A bomber being able to use their versatile vials means that when they run out of items, they're still going to be better at bombing than everyone else. Chirurgeon is going to be able to heal people more and counteract things more because of a unique feat line and their field vials. Everyone can and should be preparing for all of these eventualities. Just because the bomber has most of their formula book dedicated to dealing damage doesn't mean that they shouldn't also have Spiderfoot brew in their formula book, so that if the whole party falls down a mine shaft, they're stuck, they don't know what to do, the wizard is currently out of spell slots, or maybe just didn't prepare the right spells for this occasion, then the bomber can sit down, flip through their pages, go, this, and whip up a batch for the whole party and get them climbing up on out of that pit. This is the real strength of Alchemist, is your versatility. You have a massive, massive list. If I scroll through here, there will be some duplicate items because lesser and moderate and etc. are all listed. But I hope you can see this massive spread of abilities that are available to you, even just at the common rarity at all times, just an action away for a 10-minute duration, or even as part of your daily preparations for its full duration. This is what makes Alchemist one of my favorite classes. I've always struggled with the game feel of it before the Pathfinder Remaster, but in the Remaster, I highly recommend this class. It's an amazing class. It has a lot of fun fantasies you can fulfill, and in the Remaster, they've really shored up the ability for players to struggle with it in a way where they are able to play poorly or feel like a vending machine. For example, the bomber here, even if you choose a bunch of very strange alchemical items and you're not really sure what you're doing, it guarantees you these 2 common first level alchemical bomb formulas, and picking up Quick Bomber or even just using Quick Alchemy and striking normally means you'll constantly be throwing bombs. That's what you wanted to do. You picked Bomber. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend the class. Give it a look. Build something, even if you don't play it. And let me know what you think about the class in the comments down below. Other than that, that's for me. That's all for me today. I appreciate you for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. And I will see you next time. See ya. See ya.